What's up, guys? It's Anthony from AB Fitness Center. I am here with another amazing client transformation video. I got on here Erin, one of my rock stars. Erin did amazing, especially during this crazy time of 2020. So during the lockdown, she lost 37 pounds and hit a brand new low that she hasn't been in a while. So super excited to have her on, and hopefully it'll inspire you guys to do the same, even though we're not locked down anymore, thank God. So she was able to do it. You guys can do it too. But Erin, what's up? Welcome.
Thank you.
And you're actually, this is your second time on here. We've done a podcast before, and we did it on physical therapy stuff. We talked about during lockdown, how you could, all that jazz, all that good stuff. That was a good one. So you're a second Pete on here. But this time we're going to talk about you. So it's super exciting. It's my favorite topic.
Me too.
Erin's super nervous, guys. So just
don't give away my secrets.
So Erin, let's talk about this. So lockdown happens. You're at, you've been trying to lose weight before this. Let's talk about where you were before and kind of where you are now. Kind of give your summary to it.
Yeah. So before lockdown, probably for close to a year, I kind of was fluctuating in the same 10, 15 pound range. I was getting super frustrated by it. I would lose some, and then either a life event would happen or a few social events coming up together, and I would kind of just be not really going to focus on this right now. And then, sometimes issues with my hormones, I would gain a lot of weight, and not understand that it was, just the scale, and not that my progress had completely gone off the rails. So probably for a good year, it was really difficult for me to just be in the mindset to put it in the forefront and to stay focused on this is what I really wanted to do and the right way to do it.
So it only took a lockdown for that to actually happen. But it's funny because a lot of people went backwards during this time, and you actually are hitting new lows. I mean, you're down a total of 52 pounds total before this, but 37 specifically during the lockdown time. So that's super, super impressive. And for anyone who's lost weight before, you all know that to lose that much weight, a lot of things had to change. So I know you said, what was happening before? Let's go back a little bit. Let's fast forward to January. So you mentioned before that you would diet and then stop, and an event would come up. So what does that mean? What would happen? You just say, screw Anthony, and then just go off the deep end? Is that kind of what would happen?
I mean, yeah. So if I had a few weddings in a row, or, my brother had a baby, and we would have social events around the baby, things like that. And I would say on a Wednesday or a Thursday, if I mess up and I go over my macros, oh, well, it doesn't matter because on Friday we have this, and then Saturday we have this. So I'll start again on Monday, and then I don't track for it turns into 4 or 5 days in a row. And I was working a lot. At that time I was working 3 jobs. So I worked my regular job, I worked a job after school, and then I worked on Saturdays. So it's so easy to just run to Starbucks and get, a drink, a caffeinated drink that has all of these additional calories, and a quick snack that was ridiculous in calories, without even thinking about it. And just those kinds of things just accumulated over a period of time. And then it was oh, well, I went to Starbucks today, so maybe I'll try again tomorrow. And then the whole rest of the day just becomes a free for all, and you don't pay attention to what you're eating.
Yeah. So now lockdown hits, and what changes? What shifted mentally for you that allowed you to kind of focus on your fitness finally make it a forefront of what had to be done?
I mean, I think it was 2 specific things that I can kind of trace it back to. One of them being I had to force myself to slow down. So I did lose a lot of work hours. I'm very fortunate that I did keep my salaried job. But the additional work that I did after school and on the weekends, I lost those hours. So I had more time to meal prep and plan, and I would plan in my tracker the day before. And then I would kind of know that I'm home, I can't go anywhere. So those quick snack type of, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, deli, those kinds of things went completely out. And I was able to account for every single thing that I ate. I cooked my own food. We didn't have social events to go to. One of the big things too was like a little bit before the lockdown, but like really in the lockdown, like I stopped drinking alcohol. And so that was like a big thing for me. But then the other thing was like just getting my mind like in a right place, and just like focusing. So I remember there was the one video that you did, and it's so funny. It was, you were talking about like homeostasis and how like your body will tell you that you're hungry because it's comfortable where you are, and like it doesn't want you to like lose that weight because then it like throws off the balance. And I remember thinking in that video, like, I'm such a competitive person by nature that to me that was like such a challenge, that I was like, oh, my body's going to be hungry, well, watch it, like, because it's not going to happen. And so like I would think about that every day, and that like really helped me, because in my head I was like able to focus on this is just what's going on right now in this minute, and like these are the ways that I can like kind of get past it. And then I also did like a habit tracker. I found this like cool thing online, and you just like write what your habits are that you want to gain or learn. And so every day I would check off that I worked out, every day I went for a walk, every day I tracked my macros, and like I would color it in. And then like at the end of the month to see like how beautiful it was that all of my boxes were colored in, like that was like super motivating too. So I did that for, the first like 6 months that we were locked down. I did that every day.
So tell us more about the habit tracker. I'm curious about that. So where did you find this, and what is it? So what do you have to do?
So it's just like a principle. It's just it was just like an image that I found like online. Like I think it popped up on my Pinterest account when I was just like mindlessly like scrolling through social medias. And it was editable. So I was able to write my own things in it. And then I wrote the days of the month. And then after I completed like the habit, so for example, like the workout, I would like color it in with like a different color marker. And then you can see it like on one page. It was like printed out. Like you could see it on one page that you like did every single day you did a workout, or every single day you went for a walk. And like, if I like missed like 2 boxes in a row, I'd be like, all right, no, like get those boxes, color them in. So that was like really cool. I didn't think it would work, and it really did.
Well, it's all about, and we talk about this all the time, is like building momentum. And once you have that momentum, things start to string together. So you said a couple of things there I want to kind of circle back. So you mentioned alcohol, and we've worked together for a while, nutrition coaching and so on. And I've yelled at you for alcohol so many times, because that was one of the things that would trigger you to have other things. So you just completely stopped drinking totally, right?
Yeah. So I was trying to not drink as much, like at an event or like for a weekend. Like I wouldn't just like go to the bar like I did when I was younger. And like I could go to the bar and have 1 or 2 instead of like, more than that. I won't give away my secrets again about how much I was drinking. But during the lockdown, like I really didn't drink anything at all. So that was like a big thing too.
Well, most women listening to this, I mean, and if you wanted the alcohol, you can have it. So first and foremost, we know that, but for you, that was just like a trigger that led to not just 1 or 2. So most women who are listening to this love their wine and their other things. So what tips could you give someone with alcohol and like dealing with alcohol, and like if they had so if someone was you before with alcohol, what was the thing that you finally said, okay, I'm done with this?
Well, I mean, so the first part about like if you want to have it, you could have it, obviously. So now that things are kind of opening up, we do have like weddings to go to, and we do have other things. So one of the things that I learned over a period of time was that like to plan ahead. So I know that after I've had like a drink or 2, like I want to have a snack like before I go to bed, because it offsets like whatever I might feel like in the morning. So I've learned that if I'm going to an event, to plan that snack is like already in my tracker. So like the protein brownies or like a, whatever, like small snack is already in my tracker like before the day starts. And that helps me to not go over the calories then when I'm like looking for that, because I know exactly what it is. But also just planning ahead in general. Like if you want to have a glass of wine and you figure out, how many carbs it's going to be for you and how many calories it's going to be for you, and you plan it ahead of time, like that really, keeps me on track. Even if it's not alcohol, if it's just like an event, and like if I'm going to a wedding and I know that like this is what I checked off on my invitation that I'm going to eat, like I plan it, the day before, so that in the morning for like my other 2 meals out of the day, like I'm not going over.
So it's almost like you listen to what I tell you.
Sometimes I do, yeah.
That's good. I mean, that's amazing. And that's exactly what people need to hear is like, you know, you can hear it from a client directly, not just me. You know, people hear it from me like, oh, but you don't know because, you know, you're already in shape and this and that. But it's like, you know, you don't get in shape not doing what I'm telling you. I have to
Yeah.
do those same things too. And like people don't believe me, you know, so it's always nice when they hear it from someone who went through it and has achieved success. So you also mentioned that you made some mental shifts. So what was the biggest thing that changed for you mentally pre-lockdown? Again, you know, being as heavier, 37 pounds heavier to now, what mental changes happened?
I think probably two things, like just being like more patient, and not staring at the calendar and saying like, you know, by this date, I have to have this kind of thing accomplished, which is kind of something I've always done in my life is like, this event is happening 36 weeks away from now. So like, I need to lose like 50 pounds by then or something, you know, that's not really reasonable. And so just like having grace and patience and taking one day at a time and not worrying about what's going to happen in 6 months and just worry about like doing the right thing today and like making the right choice like every time, you know, today. And then just like being calm. So like, you know, I'm somebody who struggles with anxiety, and sometimes that anxiety causes me to go off track, whether it's feeling more kind of like lethargic and skipping workouts or, you know, looking at food for comfort. So during the lockdown, like I did have a lot of anxiety in the beginning, but I was able to kind of like transition that into like movement energy and like go for walks and like do my virtual workouts and kind of just, you know, slow down and like take a step back and just do one thing at a time.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that that's exactly what you said. You know, one of the things we forgot to mention was you also did the workouts with us virtually too. So you were coming to the gym prior, then we got shut down. So you shifted to all from home. All this happened. So that's amazing. Cause like I said, everyone else kind of backslid. And I had a lot of clients who moved forward during this time. So it's amazing to see, because that was one of the things that I was afraid of the most. I want to actually just circle back quick. One of the things that you talked about too was, you know, when you have to lose a certain amount of weight for a certain date. I mean, we've done that. We've had that, you know, where you were like, oh, I got to look good for this event. And everyone does that, right? I want to look good for this wedding or this. But what happens after that? You know, a lot of people forget like, okay, I'm working really, really hard, and you have like a reason to lose the weight or look good. And then once that reason's there, so like the event, the wedding, whatever, and then after that, you have no other thing to hold you accountable. So I know you've kind of went down that rabbit hole, you know, prior, and not having something to look forward to. How has that kind of helped you in the future, and how will it help you going forward?
Um, I mean, I think that like,
Like making that shift, you know, that mental shift.
yeah, I think that you know, sometimes what happens is you put too much pressure on yourself, and then when you get frustrated or things don't go your way, like you have a counter reaction to that. And sometimes you set yourself up and you're worse off than you were when you started. But I think that taking it day by day, it just, I don't know, it just helps you kind of like focus on what's important. So like every time I'm sitting down to make a meal, or if I'm weighing my food versus saying like, oh, it doesn't matter, like I'm not weighing it today, like those just like learning how to make those decisions like for no other reason than like they're just the right decision, I think has been what kind of helped me, like despite everything being canceled during the lockdown. It was like, well, I know that, you know, this is what I want to do and this is how I kind of have to make it happen. And then also I think that, you know, success breeds motivation. So when I was starting to see the numbers go down, or even like understanding that certain times in, you know, whether you ate too many carbs or like you had a really hard workout, or and you're retaining water, like understanding that, like the science behind that, you know, and how it affects your weight on the scale, but not necessarily your progress. Like that was like a big thing for me too. And then watching kind of like my progress and like my check-in photos and things like that, like then it was almost like, you know, more, that was like such a big, powerful, you know, motivator for me to keep going despite everything being locked down.
Yeah. So what was kind of like that aha moment that you had, like, you know, because I mean, the lockdown for me felt like forever. It really did. It just felt like it was nothing moved. I still feel like we're in lockdown. It feels like every day is the same. It still feels like it's March to me. But what was kind of like that aha moment where you're like, wow, I can't believe I made this much progress?
Probably moving my little cousins up to college was the first time that people had seen me like outside of like my direct household, and like taking pictures, and like pictures where I wasn't paying attention to what was going on, or like leaning over to pick something up, like, you know, just like being in the background of things, and like not hating what it looked like. I was like, oh wow, like
There I
this is
am.
working, like this is kind of great, you know. And like, you know, like I said before, like I had a lot of anxiety like in the beginning of the lockdown, and I think that you know, I think you remember in the beginning, like the first like 2 weeks of lockdown, I was like, I can't do this, like I'm so stressed, like I'm not doing this, I'm not tracking my food, like I'm not doing my workouts. And you were like, calm down, like it's your life still, like we're still like day to day, like going forward. And it was like, you're right, like I still have to continue after this is over. So like even though we didn't lock down for what everyone thought would be like 2 weeks, or you know, 3 weeks, a month even, like I had to say like, you know, it's still just the right thing to do, like just keep going. And then like if, you know, when you get out of the lockdown, like you'll be happy that you started then, and not now. And you know, I was just talking to my sister the other day, and one of the things that we laugh about is that like I look like I lost a lot of weight really fast, but it was just that we were in a lockdown. Nobody could see us. Like you couldn't see anybody. So like I didn't really, you know, it still was like almost like, you know, 7 or 8 months that like it took to lose that weight. And I think that, you know, that was like a thing for her, that she was kind of like, oh, but it happened so fast. And I'm like, but it was just consistency over time. But because nobody could see anybody, like it seemed like a big thing, you know, happened so fast.
Right, you built up momentum. And so I talk
Yeah.
about this all the time. And once you build up that momentum, and like that habit tracker thing is huge, because I think that that's the thing that also propels you. You know, you build that momentum, and then before you turn around, you're like, well, where'd all this weight go? So I kind of we talked about it quick, but what were you struggling with like prior to working with me and, you know, the rest of the team here at AB Fitness Center? What were you struggling with, like mentally? Where were you before all of it? Like us, like, and you didn't know anything when we first started. I mean, now you know so much. You're so knowledgeable about nutrition now, and like I hear you talk about like certain things. I'm like, oh, look, I did good. I taught her. She knows a lot.
I
And you know,
watch all of those Facebook videos.
you know a lot more about nutrition than most people. So it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. So where were you prior to working with us? What were you kind of struggling with?
So like it was like 4 years ago. I just had, you know, some things happen in my life that really kind of put me into not a great place mentally. And I was just like not dealing with things in my personal life, and you know, looking at food for comfort, and like, you know, going out with my friends, and drinking, and you know, just like kind of stupid things that people fall into when they're like upset about something. Or you know, like I had moved quickly a couple, you know, times in a row in a short period of time. um, I was like not happy with my job, and like just a lot of things that I like needed to focus on and make changes to. And you know, I was an athlete growing up, so one of the things that was always easy for me was working out. I never had a problem with that, but I never understood how closely that nutrition goes into wanting to lose weight. So I had actually gained a lot of weight like in a very short period of time, and I held on to it for a while before I kind of was like, this is not who I am, and this is not who I want to be. And so that's when I kind of reached out to you guys for support. And like you said, like over the last like 4 years or so, you know, I've really come to learn like how important nutrition is, and how to listen to my body, and pay attention to my body. You know, and tracking my photos, and tracking my weight and things like that, so that I can see like the change over time. Because I think what happens too is that you always look at yourself, so you don't see that like you've made a small amount of progress. And if you're not keeping track of that, you think that like nothing is working. And then you get into a cycle of like, well, I'm doing everything that I can and nothing is working. And then you kind of like feel defeated. And I think that one of the things that I used to do is that I used to give myself more credit than what I was doing. So I would say like, you know, well, I worked out, and so like I can have this, whatever, ice cream or whatever, because I earned it. And like, I didn't realize that they're not the same, you know?
Like a
Uh,
dog.
Yeah, it's my treat.
I make that joke all the time, but it's so true. People think that oh, I worked out today, so it's fine. This Big Mac is cool. I can have it. I burned it off already. So, first of all, no. Second of all, no.
Yeah, and I think that one of the other things that I struggled with too is that I always felt like if I were dieting, or if I went to a birthday party and I didn't have a piece of cake, that like I was not enjoying my life and that I was missing out on aspects of my life. But like the reality of the situation is, and especially with the method that you preach, versus some other methods, like counting my macros allows me to have what I want to have and not feel deprived of any of those things. And so I don't feel like, I'm missing out. I don't want it. And so I don't eat it. And like thinking of it that way is so much different than like, I can't have that because then I wake up and I think about like, I couldn't have that and I need to have
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, we probably should have prefaced that by saying like, Erin lost all this weight, not just eating, tilapia and asparagus. That's not what she ate. She ate what she wanted in the context of what she needed. And it's funny because for Christmas, my wife got me, how they Staples used to have like that easy button and you push it, like that's easy. My wife got me a button that says no, because she always asks me, hey, Anthony, do you want this? No. And I always say no to it. So that was like the running joke, but it's okay. And for anyone listening to this, it's okay to say no sometimes. I think we all feel guilted into so we just had the holiday and my mother-in-law was at my house and, she cooks like all this Italian food and I don't eat that stuff. I just don't like it. And I just don't want it. Like you just said, I just don't want it. And it's okay to say no. Like it's okay to say no. And you just said that. And I think that that's amazing that once you kind of like grasp that and you understand like, no, I just don't want it. You're going to win. And it sets you up for big things going forward because now you're not controlled by food. You control food.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that one of the other things too is that you have to stop listening to other people. So if somebody presents something to me and I say, oh, I don't want it. And if it's somebody that knows that I'm dieting or somebody that just knows that like I like to go to the gym, then oh, live a little, oh, enjoy it. It's just one time. So like letting go of like that from other people, I think is like an important skill to have too.
Definitely. I have something, I'm going to do a video on this. It's called the Dangerous 20. So I'll let you in on it, Erin. I'll just tell you, no one else listening can hear this. So the Dangerous 20 is what I say, what happens. People lose 20 pounds and they get comfortable, right? They're comfortable. I lost a little bit of weight. I made a little bit of progress. They start to take their foot off the gas. And then that starts happening. That's when people start complimenting them. Oh, live a little, live a little. They turn around and boom, that 20 pounds plus is back on because they let off the gas. And the main thing with you is you never let off that gas and you've built what I'm going to say are permanent changes in your life and permanent habits that are going to stick forever. So this weight that has come off will be the last time it has ever been on you. And that's like a really amazing thing. Like, that's why I asked you to be on here, because I think this is so amazing. So for someone listening to this, now they're like, okay, how did this girl do this? Like, was this complicated? Was this like a really, really crazy system? So in your words, is this easy for someone to do? And do you think that it has yielded you permanent results?
I mean, I definitely think it's easy, but I would be lying if I say that I didn't think it was very hard in the beginning. So I think that how you think about it is whether or not it's easy or hard for you. And so with counting macros, like I try to explain to other people that say like, oh, you ate that, but like, aren't you on a diet? It's like, it's still just one thing. It's still just like, make sure that you reach this target so that, other things can happen. So I definitely think that it was something that I had to learn, and figure out that like, this is how I work in the things that I want to have. Despite my trainer limiting my carbs frequently, I can still have what I want to have as long as I just plan for it. And I think that planning, and understanding why the system works like really is, the reason that it is so easy. It's very flexible. And like I said, now that I'm picking up like more work hours and we're able to do things outside, I can plan for those things that kind of pop up that are like out of my like normal routine and not feel like doing the wrong thing or not feel like I'm cheating on my diet or anything like that. So I do think that it's easy now. And I forgot the second part of the question.
Do you think it's going to lead to permanent results? So like you've done other diets before, like, and what happened with that? And how do you think it's different this time?
Yeah, so I have done other diets, and I think that you've spoken about it too. Like I did Weight Watchers, which is meant to kind of be a similar thing, but doesn't always like work out to be the same. And I did like the Atkins, like the Mediterranean, like that kind of stuff for like a little while. I also did isogenics, which is like the protein shakes that you have like once or twice a day, and then like you eat like a full meal, but like none of those things were things that I could keep up with. And so I think that this is the difference, is that, if you'd asked me how long, I would not even remember that it's been 4 years that we've been working together. So it doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like a diet, and it doesn't seem like a restriction, and it doesn't seem like something that I am going out of my way to focus on. It just is part of my day now. And I have the app in my phone, and it's like in my little dock, and it's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, and like I plan for things. And so it just like has become part of my routine. And then, when I get to the place that like I want to stay, then I just can like have my macros adjusted to like a more like maintenance level, and then kind of just go from there.
Yeah. So you mentioned something, you said it was hard in the beginning. What was so hard in the beginning?
I didn't understand that you could eat things that were not like healthy foods.
Oh my God, I deal with this all day. It's so funny. Everybody's like, they get so mind blown, like, wait a minute, I could have bread.
Yeah. And like, I have a big sweet tooth. Like, so for me, candy is like a big thing. So when I was tracking my macros in the beginning, I was like, I can't ever have this. Like, this is so annoying. Like, I only can have like these healthy foods. And then I like put it in my tracker one day, and I was like, wait, I could have all of this stuff that I want. Like, as long as like majority of my meals, are, high protein meals, like I can have anything as long as I just plan for it.
That's it. That's all. It's very, very simple.
Very
So
easy.
how has your life changed now?
I mean, like I said, I definitely think it's easier. And I just think that, doing the workouts and, going for walks and keeping up with my steps, like has helped in other aspects of my life, specifically with, my anxiety and just like being more level headed. So that is like something that I like carry over. But I just like feel better. Like I don't feel, so tired all the time, like lethargic, and I just feel like the more that I plan and the more successful I am, like the better I feel about myself, and like the happier that I am like about myself, because not necessarily like related to the way that I look, but like just related to like I set this up a goal for myself, and like now I'm like following through with it, and like that kind of success has like been really like making me feel like proud of myself, and like it just makes me like happy.
You should be very proud of yourself. And like I said, you're one of our biggest success stories. And I think it's not even like the physical portion of it. I mean, that's always nice, but I think that the mental shifts that you have made, and I honestly say this from the bottom of my heart, like you've made these changes and they're going to stick with you forever. Like, how nutrition works now. There's no going back. And
Yeah.
you always will know like the ins and outs of nutrition, that you can carry this with you forever. So it's like, when you're older, a lot older, you're going to think of me, you're going to be like, oh, that guy Anthony, he still has me brainwashed into thinking that I can't go over this much. But it's a good thing. It's a really, really good thing. And I'm super proud of you, and you should be very, very proud of yourself. So for someone listening to this, what would be your biggest tip to give someone who's super frustrated? Like, what would be your biggest tip to give them?
I would say definitely be patient and trust the process. And as long as you know that you're being 100% honest with yourself, with how you're tracking your meals, weighing your meals, and the workouts that you're doing and the steps that you're doing, it will work. And you just have to kind of like buffer out the noise. And, just every time that you make a decision, make sure it's a decision that leads you to where you want to be. And I think that having a visual of what you are doing and how honest you are being with yourself is really helpful too. So whether that's a habit tracker, or whether that's marking it on the calendar that this many workouts you're doing in that week, and then you've completed that week, I think that it kind of like fact checks you, and it gives you like another way of you saying like, oh, I didn't really do that much that good this week. So it wasn't the process. It was my, motivation and my attention to it. That is the reason why I'm not successful.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So what would you tell people who are listening to this, who are on the fence about investing in a program like this?
I mean, this is the best program. So if it's this program that you are looking to invest in, definitely do it. And I think that one of the things for me when I was younger and kind of like newer in my professional life, like I was like, oh, it's kind of a lot of money to like join a gym and like, the nutrition and things like that. But then in the same hand, I was like going out to the bar and like spending $100, or like going out to eat and spending $100. And it's like, you have to decide what's important to you. So like if your health and your life is important to you, like that's where you need to invest your time and your money. And like I said, this is the best program. You and Laura and now Santino are great. And I love the camaraderie that is with all of the clients, and the Facebook group is like really supportive. And I think that having that additional community is like another kind of normal person to bounce off and say, this is the struggle that I'm having, and I'm not, in the place that I like want to be in. Like, what has helped you, and like what works for you, in addition to your trainer saying like this is what you need to do. I think is something that a lot of places don't have, and a lot of diet or workout style places like don't have. And so I think that that's important too.
Well, Erin, you're amazing. And thank you so much for your time today. This was just amazing. So for anyone listening to this, I'm going to drop it in the comments below. There's a blueprint that you could pick up that goes through step by step what you have to do to transform your body. So all you got to do is just click the link there, and then you'll get that delivered right to you for absolutely no charge at all. Again, I just want to try to help as many people as we can. And Erin, like I said, this was amazing. You are amazing. Like I said, you're one of our biggest success stories for so many different reasons, but super proud of you, and you make sure you keep up the good work. And then we'll do a part 2 to this. And this will be the 3rd time that you're on here with me. And we got some cool things in the works for you once we hit a goal weight. So once we get there, then there's a whole new slew of things that we have to conquer from that point. So super excited to go through that with you, and I look forward to many, many more workouts with you.
Awesome. I'm very excited.
Bye.